From the campus of the University of Kentucky, you're listening to Behind the Blue. I'm Cody Kaiser with UK Strategic Communications.
The nice thing about teaching, especially at places like University of Kentucky, you meet people who are much older than you, who have so much experience, who have done corporate world, and now they want to go into teaching. So this is so rewarding for me. And the other thing is we have so much connections with the community too. So again, teaching teachers how to teach students. There's a lot of the word teach. So connecting with the community, whether it's public schools, private schools, or even the YMCA, churches here, it's very, very connecting with the people. It's not just doing things for me, it's for a collective community.
That's Sahar Alameh, an assistant professor of STEM education in the UK College of Education, and one of 6 recipients of the 2025 Great Teacher Awards. The University of Kentucky Alumni Association started the Great Teacher Award program in 1961 to honor excellent teaching at the university. There have been more than 300 teachers honored since that first year. Nominations may only be submitted by current students. To receive the award, a candidate must hold the rank of full-time lecturer or above and have been a member of the faculty for the past 3 years at UK, have superior knowledge of the subject matter, have original and innovative classroom presentations, demonstrate concern for students both inside and outside the classroom setting, and not have been a recipient of the award for the past 10 years. Alameh's research encompasses 2 areas: supporting teachers and students in the construction and evaluation of scientific explanations within K-12 science classrooms, and developing informed views of science and its nature, particularly within the context of socio-scientific issues. She is part of a UK research team developing curricula to help students better understand diseases, pandemics, and viruses using wastewater through wastewater surveillance. On this episode of Behind the Blue, my colleague Steve Schaefer spotlights this Great Teacher Award winner.
Dr. Sahar Alameh, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, how did you find out that you were nominated for a Great Teacher Award?
It was kept so secretive. So it was my chair who told me, basically, so we have these department meetings, and some of us sometimes go on Zoom, sometimes it's in person. So he somehow made sure that I come in person, but he wouldn't say why. He wouldn't say either negative or positive. It was a few days before. So I spoke with some of my colleagues that my chair did that. What could it be? So we had a lot of guesses, but I was like, I'm not gonna. So basically I went to the department meeting, and it was like halfway through, not even early. They came in, a few people came in with balloons, and I had no idea it was for me because I don't know who they were either. And then Jonathan, my chair, looked at me automatically, immediately, and I was like, oh my God, that is for me. I couldn't believe it. So they announced it, and I went there, and I was like shaking the entire time. I remember so there's that picture with UK Alumni Association, and I was holding it upside down, so I had to look. I'm like, no, it's the other way around. So yeah, it was a very nice surprise.
Yeah, there's not a lot of faculty meetings that have balloons in them, so.
None, so.
First one ever.
Yeah.
This award is unique in that it is really student-driven. The students, initiate and then drive the process through the whole thing. What does it mean to win an award like this that is so kind of student-centric?
Yeah, I mean, it represents the whole thing. So I am a professor of STEM education. I train science and math teachers. And a lot of my training to my teachers is basically how fruitful education is student-centered. And I'm talking about the learning. So for an award to also be driven by a student, that resembles what I'm basically trying to teach my students who are future teachers. And especially with my students who nominated me. She's a PhD student, and I taught her the first year I came to UK, and we built a beautiful relationship, and she was working first in the US and now she's working overseas. And the fact that I didn't even think it was her. So when they announced, I had to ask twice because she kept a straight face. We worked together. We're writing her dissertation. We're doing the research plan. So all of this and that fact of her being like nominated by that particular student in that sense really represents what I do for a living and for my career, basically.
How do you as a teacher try to motivate and inspire your students?
My students are special because they are future teachers. So a lot of the training that we do is them also teaching their students. And we live in times where we have, I want to say, a national teacher shortage, but it's a global teacher shortage. So we do need especially STEM teachers now more than ever. And a lot of the teachers who come to do this program usually are like motivated by the fact that they want to help with the teacher shortage. So a lot of the things I do is basically highlight the importance of teaching. I come from a culture where teaching is very, very revered. It's very respected. When you teach a person, we have a very nice saying that I always share with my students. If you teach one boy or one male, you teach one individual. If you teach one woman, you teach a whole nation, because she will teach a lot of others behind it. So I get, especially the first few classes, the idea of teaching and hoping to change the narrative about teaching. And the second thing is the way we can teach, right? The importance of teaching science and mathematics, especially in these times and age. So these are basically the two main things that I do.
How do you think an award like this will carry forward in your teaching? Like, how do you think this will sort of move you forward as a teacher?
You know, I was thinking about that like last week and discussing it with my partner when I was telling him, like, when I go to a class now and I introduce myself the first session, do I tell my students? Like, no, but I don't want to tell them. Maybe I'm going to tell them at the end of the semester so that just to see the dynamic. And having said that I kept this piece of information because I do the know more about me, but I didn't say that part. I think it is, first of all, really rewarding, because this is the first semester I teach after getting the award. So I'm like, I'm a great teacher, you know, so it does play that. And the other thing, like, nothing in my teaching has changed, because I think the fact that I got it is a testimony for my teaching, but it does add this flavor that, you know, I have been awarded. I have been rewarded also for what I have been doing.
Yeah, in some of my work, I've won a couple of Emmy awards,
oh, nice.
Television Emmy awards. And so, you know, I have a friend who was also a faculty member at a different college, and he said, you should bring those Emmys and put them on the table the first day of class. And I said, that's not me. I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I tell them, but that's all. You know?
Yeah.
But he's like, you need to put those Emmys on the table. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, maybe last day.
Do you have a teaching philosophy?
So again, my teaching philosophy is also affected by who I teach. With the nature of my job, I teach, again, pre-service teachers. So they're elementary, those who want to become elementary teachers, those who want to become high school teachers, but also I teach graduate courses for those who want to go the research side. So the philosophy there changes, but it all comes down to, especially since I'm a science education person, it comes down to the understand, like what it means for students to understand scientific concepts. And not just that, to also understand what we call the nature of science, how science works in everyday life, how it's affected by politics, by social and cultural norms. So whether I'm teaching future teachers or future researchers, we always bring back the nature of science and how practices of scientists, how scientists are not superpowers, right? They are people who have their own biases, they have their own processes. So we get to understand that, because this is like fundamental to teaching mathematics and science.
What motivates you? Why do you keep teaching? I'm sure, you know, there's somewhere out there in the world, in the private sector, I'm sure there's a place for you out there somewhere, but why do you keep teaching?
it's such a rewarding job. It's not a joke that you have to really love it to do it, but I'm a big believer is that when you do it, you love it even more. I taught high school for 7 years, then I taught as a graduate student, and now I'm teaching as a professor, and I'm just come to grow. Like myself, I'm growing. I learn so much. The nice thing about teaching, especially at places like University of Kentucky, you meet people who are much older than you, who have so much experience, who have done corporate world, and now they want to go into teaching. So this is so rewarding for me. And the other thing is we have so much connections with the community too. So again, teaching teachers how to teach students. There's a lot of the word teach. So connecting with the community, whether it's public schools, private schools, or even the YMCA, churches here, it's very, very connecting with the people. It's not just doing things for me, it's for a collective community.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it the other day, and people who teach teachers, there's such a multiplying effect. What you are teaching to a classroom of 10 or 12 or 15 then multiplies because
Exactly.
those 15 then go and teach 30, and it's such a cool to think about sort of how that knowledge is passed on.
Yeah, and it's not easy to also just tell them these are the theories of learning. Sometimes you need to apply the theories of learning with them. So sometimes I challenge their very basic science skills that I know are misconceptions, and I tell them you have those. Like I basically have them experience the learning before they teach it. Because if they're not gonna get the aha moment themselves, it's gonna be super difficult for them to deliver that piece of information.
Yeah, the aha moment it's one of the best things about teaching.
Yep.
And I always explain it like my first semester teaching here, I had a student that said out loud in class, we were doing something sort of independently, and I was walking around helping everybody, and she just sort of yells out, "Oh, cool."
Oh, that's such a
that's like the best thing ever.
Yep.
What are you trying to teach them besides STEM skills? What else, sort of the ancillary things, are you trying to teach these students?
I think whether it's my students or what I would like them to teach their students, so the continuity is how to really maintain or become responsible citizens, how to make informed decisions, because we're not all scientists. We don't all have the background knowledge that scientists have, but as we've seen in the past few years, we all have decisions that we need to make. So I think mainly is through college and through their program is how to be able to make those informed decisions, what kind of information-seeking behavior we can do, what kind of even modification behavior we can have. So that's way beyond the content and the subject matter areas.
Yeah, man, I feel like as a society, we need that really a lot now to be able to sort of look through the information that's being presented and consider where is it coming from? Is this good and thoughtful? Has it been...
And what do we do with it? So I work with a few schools in Eastern Kentucky. So we've been a few places where I do this spiel of mine, so to speak, where I talk to high school students from rural places where I tell them, all right, we test COVID. We test for COVID, we get hundreds and hundreds of cases. What do we do? Do we freak out? So there's a lot more than knowing what COVID is. Do we shut down all the schools now? Who makes those decisions? Do we trust our public health officials? So it's those things that go beyond just what we study in textbooks that I really, really appreciate in my job.
Tell me a little bit about your students. What do they like?
Oh, I am teaching right now an introduction to STEM education course. So these are STEM majors, very fresh out of high school, and they're just seeing if being a high school teacher is their thing. I love this course. It's a course of everything because we we get them placed in schools so they get to see that, which also means these current students are terrified because they were 1 year ago in high school as students. Now we're placing them with a biology or a math teacher, and this changes their life. So this particular group of students are excited. They're already inspired. They just need to see the reality of the profession. Other students where I teach like methods courses, it's a senior course, they're just going to the job. These are the most robust students I work with. They are always on time. They're communicative. Like these represent our future teachers in Lexington and the area, I think. And then there's our PhD courses, which for me in Illinois as a PhD student myself, I didn't get that as a student in Kentucky, at University of Kentucky. I have such a beautiful diversity of our graduate students. Like in our PhD classes, I have international students. I have students who were in engineers and now they're looking into education. And these students, again, they know what they want, but they don't know how to get that information. And they're so eager to find ways, to find resources. And this is so rewarding on so many levels with the different courses I teach.
That's amazing. My wife is a college professor turned high school teacher.
Oh, wow.
And so she has a PhD in creative writing and 20th century American literature and taught college for 12 or 14 years. And then took a little break for 6 or 7 years and then decided she wanted to go back. And she never taught directly in a high school. And so she really loves it. She's exhausted every day.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it's, and I keep telling her on the bad days, I'm like, look, you're making a difference. Like you absolutely are where you're supposed to be. And, so she's finding it very rewarding, also very frustrating.
It is
it's
both.
all the things.
Yeah, I always ask my students, like, I have this thing where what was your favorite subject in high school? And they say either mathematics or science, depending on the students I have. And almost 90% of the time, the reason is, or the sentence starts with, I had this teacher in high school. So, and I always love that because that's a starting point for me that these students are one day going to be these people who will inspire other students. I had this girl who told me, I graduated 3 years ago from high school and I still text that teacher. I'm like, yep, I still have that where I taught 15 years ago and one day it's gonna be you. And that feeling for them is really meaningful.
Yeah, my wife has that. And she's one of those teachers who will go the absolute extra mile for her students. And so I keep trying to reassure her, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. How do your students inspire you? And then maybe even, what do they teach you?
Yeah, so they teach me a lot, as I've mentioned also before, but thinking about those graduate students who are planning now to take their own research agendas. And usually I focus on 1 or 2 things that I publish, I collect data, and then I get to know new fields, right? So when I read their papers, it's me reading things that I am learning. And at the same time, what inspires me is the ways they go about finding their research careers. They're still junior researchers. They do need guidance, but also it happens so much where they want to first explore and fail, right? So this really inspires me about them because I have had those who were like, I'm going to read a bunch of papers about this, and if I don't like it, I'll just ditch it and go somewhere else. He still wanted to do that. And this is really inspiring because these are not necessarily future teachers. These are future educators and research educators. And they teach me what they found, right? Not just the process, but they teach me about, because when I'm advising a graduate student, I have to learn from them and they have to basically prove their point or to me before it goes to the committee or it comes more.
They have to make you understand.
Exactly. And if I'm okay with it, then others are. With younger ones who are becoming future teachers, I am inspired because they want to become science and mathematics teachers in this day and age. It's not an easy job, and they know that. But the fact that they choose to do it, wake up in the morning, every morning, and do all of that, like, if this is not inspiring, I don't know what is.
We've had a stretch of 4 or 5 years here where things have been difficult at times. Everybody struggles from time to time. What advice would you give to students who maybe are struggling just a bit, who might be reluctant to ask for help?
Yeah, I say that all the time, and not just for students. I think we all need to tell ourselves that, to give themselves a lot of grace. A lot. Sometimes students hold out on telling their professors that they're struggling, and if they had told us before, we would have helped, so to speak. So I say give yourself a lot of grace. And the other thing, communicate. The worst case scenario is going to be, sorry, I can't do anything, that means you will stay at the same situation you are. But almost always, communicate. And I think communication comes after the student gives themselves grace. Like, say that it is okay to be behind sometimes. It is okay to be in a bad mood, but I need to communicate with my instructor. I sometimes tell my students it doesn't have to be earth-shattering. It doesn't have to be a doctor's appointment where you have to be admitted to the ER. Sometimes we do have bad days. And let me help you. Let your instructors help you, your colleagues help you. And there are so many resources that they're not aware of unless they ask.
So we all have students. I'm a new sort of part-time teacher here at the university. But I've been doing it now for 3 or 4 years, and so I'm now starting to see my students go out into the world. And that's the rewarding part of it that I wasn't prepared for. It's like, I was literally watching one of my students on the news, like as part of a newscast here in town. And there was it was a little technique. And I was like, I taught her to do that the first time. And so it's so cool and it's so rewarding and so fulfilling. What does it mean to you, and maybe even the department and maybe even the university? Like, what does it mean to have your students out in the world doing big, cool things? Or, they're just teaching at their high school. What does it mean to have them out there?
Yeah. You have no idea. That connection, it's like I won these things. Like, it's literally every award my students get, or even a job that they get, because we are also involved in their job making decisions. We don't just write recommendation letters to them, but they ask us, like, they call me, I have this, I'm gonna teach that. And when they get a job they like, it's like I did, right? So, and the nice thing about my profession is I get to keep up with them. I teach this introduction to STEM education, and then at the end, I teach the methods course. It's those folks who stayed in the program, and I teach them at the very end, and then we go through with like the process. And it means so much to us because, so this is my 5th year here at UK. So now is the time when I've like basically been with students from the beginning all the way to the end. And it's amazing. When I go to public high schools to supervise student teachers, I meet who used to be my students who are now high school teachers in that school. And it's amazing when I hear Dr. A, I go by Dr. A to them. Hey, and now they're teachers, right? So it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm big on the fist bump, and I see them out, and I guess, and I don't want to intrude, but I get a fist bump and I move on, and so it's the coolest. It's the coolest thing ever. So the Alumni Association, who gives this award, has kept it going a long time through some trying times. What would you like to say to the Alumni Association for sort of continuing to recognize good teaching?
Yeah, I mean, without them, what Cindy Weaver said about me would have been an email to me, and it would have made my day. But what the Alumni Association is doing, it's basically making this eternal to us. It's recognizing from the moment it was announced to the moment we're basically dealing with it. Even the information about the recognition dinner, the basketball game. It will be my first UK basketball game too. So,
well, know it's a big deal if you're going to go to center court at Rupp Arena.
Exactly, I know. Yeah. So I'm very, very grateful for them to that, and I think. Like, we are very grateful that it kept going through the trying times. And I'm really hopeful it stays like this and it's the name of it too, the name Great Teacher. I think that has a lot of sensibility to it that I really think it's such a just amazing award all over.
What would you like to say to Cindy, who nominated you?
Yeah, I want to thank her so much. I know that she was nominated to a couple awards like outside of UK. She got a few too because she's a star, and I celebrated her when she got them like years ago as if they were my own, really. And now to have her nominate me, like this is an amazing thing, and I want to thank her. And I think she knows how much I appreciate it. I've met her and I'm meeting with her in a few days. But yeah, I wish she were here, but when she comes here, I'll meet her in person too. I have met her in person before.
And she is working overseas?
Yes, she teaches with the Department of Defense schools in in Turkey, in Ankara. So yeah, she took just a decision to leave the U.S. and teach there, and she's doing fantastic work. And her work now is discovering how elementary math teachers use AI in their teaching practices and teaching mathematics. So it's one of the very first exploration research that she's doing that is absolutely amazing.
Well, Sahar Alameh, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to Behind the Blue. Behind the Blue is a joint production of the University of Kentucky and UK Healthcare. For more stories about UK and UK healthcare, visit uknow.uky.edu.